Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Hxro Labs Live. RT here today. Nick Cote, Nick couldn't make it today. Nick Cote, unable to join me today. He ran into a whole bunch of super important business at the last minute, was not able to make it, unfortunately. So we are going to be here charting the shitcoins, going over some crypto, talking markets. Bitcoin is hot, as you can imagine, consolidating after its big breakout. So we might just start there. Just to make sure we're up and running on YouTube. Looks like we are. Despite the current bitrate warning, look to be running well. Good to go on TradingView. So let's pull up the CME gap, which to me makes sense for a target on this rally as far as at least a first stop or next stop. So you get this cute little gap working on the CME daily right up here around 11,795 approximately, if you want to close it on that wick. If you like to close it at the candle body, you're gonna have to go a little higher. So I started looking at that today after pulling up an old chart that you will see right here, which I put together to compare spot index prices with CME futures. Because I noticed that there was a premium in the futures, and that's generally bullish. Kind of says, hey, the institutions are paying more than they need to get their hands on this stuff. They could go and buy it spot, presumably, but obviously they have a little more access when they're working through the CME, given the whole regulated aspect of it. So it's good to see premiums in futures. They are leading right now, trading about $210 above spot price. And that led me to look for targets. And I think anyone in a long from this breakout, really nice wedge consolidation here. After all the uncertainty of the last little while, we've got a really nice, let's get that tool here. We ended up with a really nice breakout. It even gave you about a day to get in if even myself, I didn't anticipate this kind of quick move up. But then again, Bitcoin always likes to play tricks and run surprises, so I'm happy it did go, because anytime Bitcoin does well, it's generally just really good for the space, even though sometimes your alt bags get wrecked. It's temporary, typically, and it was going to break out of this wedge, and volatility was coming in. And I think it's just good to be happy that it wasn't to the downside, right? So if it could have gone either way, I'm very pleased with this. And so the next question is, okay, how far, how fast? And so for that, I think it's a pretty good bet that this gap will get filled and this move up. And as you can see, there's a nasty gap right here. Hey, Paul, welcome to the stream. Good to have you. And this gap here seems like an obvious pullback target. And that doesn't have to fill next. You know, there's nothing about gap theory that says it has to fill. It's not really a time thing. There's gaps left on charts that take a long time to fill. In fact, as I say it, I don't even know if this is one, but that'd be really helpful if it was. Is there a gap here? I mean, there's a gap. Did that wick fill it? There was a gap. There was a gap. Oh dear. But as you can see, it took quite a while to fill. Was there even one down here? I mean, there's a few gaps. The CME, because it closes, yeah, lots of gaps. Well, actually, never mind. Take it back. Wicks on the spot. But yeah, definitely a little one here. And, well, wick there too. Either way, they take a long time to fill sometimes. And that's just the way she goes. I don't think there's any reason to short this right here. I can't think of one good one other than somebody thinking, well, I missed the long, I want to be in a trade, so I'm going to short this. So let's pull up the BVol. Volatility is, the index has fallen off a bit, but you can see kind of a potential uptrend starting on the volatility index token. Frankly, I don't think this move is done for what that's worth. It's just an opinion. But I mean, looking at this weekly, there's a lot of buildup here, right? This isn't like, we reached and this is the exhaustion move. I mean, this is quite a bit of recharging, if you will. And it makes sense to me that we would extend. Now, this weekly close obviously needs to stay above the weekly resistance here, and ideally above the wick high of that, which is about 10.5. So weekly close 10.5 this weekend, about 5 days out. So lots can happen in 5 days, but that's one I'll be watching. So I'll just put that on there for illustrative purposes. And the next big one would be this candle body high. Again, if obviously if you look at it, a line chart, it's a lot clearer. That's the high there that we want to break. In fact, as far as candle body closes go on the weekly, that is the high from last summer. I mean, it's kind of exciting that we're that close to it. Obviously, we know price traded quite a bit higher, but didn't last very long. Not even long enough to close out the week. So that's something we'll be watching on the weekly over the next little while to see if we can close. I mean, we might even close this week above it. So we're only a couple $100 away. And, zooming out, this is just a bullish looking chart, is it not? Arguably, big uptrend here, pull back, could have continued. Coronavirus, also a lot of washing out of long liquidity we wanted to get done. BTC Jack Sparrow, a buddy of mine, had a big thread about that and how, the buy the dippers had to get liquidated. Like, it was a capitulation event, happened to align really nicely with coronavirus and some grander market things. So arguably that, needed to happen. And is it just back on our merry way now? We'll see. But the weekly is looking delicious. It's looking delightful. And so I want to go and check in on the majors. Oh, thank you for that heads up, Corpus. Let me double check that. I do have a little gate threshold setting on here, but I think I can fix that. One sec. Okay. Corpus More, I appreciate the feedback on that because I can't hear myself. And I often say at the start of the show, if you do notice anything at all that is unpleasant to the ears, it's often a very quick and easy fix. There's no amount of sound tests I can run that will apparently nail it, but I do run them each day before the stream. Let me just make sure that that's coming through a little clearer there for you. I want to make sure that this is pleasant on the eyes, pleasant on the ears. So if there's still any crackling, let me know. I can just shut this little FX threshold thing right off. Sometimes that helps. It actually gives you a nice bassier sound typically, but not always. Yeah, so, okay, you're welcome, mate. So I'm assuming that means that we're all clear on the sound front. So anyways, hit me up in the chat, guys, if you want. All right, should be good to go now. Quick, no, it's all good. We're back. Real quick fix there. Okay, guys, so let's take a look at Bitcoin. And if there is crackling, let me know. I mean, I'll be honest with you, this Blue Yeti's getting a little old, but it's usually good with a quick unplug, replug classic. Now, Bitcoin, God, this looks good. This looks good for continuation. I've set an alarm for 11,395. So if we can get 11,395 to break today, I mean, we've got a nice little recharge, nice little shakeout. It's clear sailing, I'd say, up into that 11.8 range, which would be a gap close. So we keep a close eye on the CME futures as well, as they are trading at a premium, so potentially going to be leading this breakout. I, of course, will not be trading it because I'm here with y'all. But if I was, and what I have been watching through this consolidation is the fibs, which after a really strong move can give you really nice setups as far as like get some scalp trades in. And I'll show you what I mean. So if you pick the last pivot down, which arguably could have been here, we had a nice break from there, so I would move it up. Breakout here, didn't get the retest. So this would be the pivot I'm working with on that lower time frame for the fibs. And so the day that this broke up, and then we had that nice little drop, and now it's okay, time to watch for the fib stuff. Now, here you can see 618 tap, not quite my sweet spot that I like to fill at. So let's try the other way, waiting for that move back up. So you draw from that high down to whatever pivot low it gets in, and sometimes you have to trail it down to see what the final pivot will be. And then there it is. There's my sweet spot fill. So I'll get a little scalp, right? And then the next move, and this is how you get those triangles and the pennants to form, is because it really just does this. So it moves back up and then comes down, touches this, didn't quite. So that's a front run, fairly strong. You know, on the third move, if you're not getting any fills at your RLZ, I mean, it's just getting front run and kind of continues back up. And this looks really bullish. I'd say the odds of a continuation at this point are very strong, very high, I should say. So, but short RLZ, so on the lower time frames, is a tricky location to be taking a trade. I know a lot of traders are breakout traders, right? You get your buy stops up here and you just say, hey, if we go up, we're going up. I wouldn't want to buy stop here at this part where we're just coming off the 618 and go. Personally, I think that's just riskier. You're going to get a lot more sweeps and drops, and actually we saw that on ETH. I'll show you a perfect example of why I don't do that. Because we had that on Ethereum, and it didn't age too well for anyone buy stopping the quick continuation, right? So this exact thing, perfect example right here. So if you were running this strategy, and I will just erase this stuff so I can get you a clear picture. If you were running that strategy here, do you see how after the first move down, like that's not as strong, right? Now, if we go up now, after all of this consolidation, much higher probability that we don't get a quick sweep. It's going to be a continuation, right? See the difference? So that's what I'm trying to explain here on the Bitcoin chart. And at this point, I do like a buy stop, one way to trade. And in a strong trend with good volume can be a really good way to trade. Now, let's look at the volume. I mean, look at this. Volume breakout. I love it. Let's go up a little higher. So it's even more obvious here. I mean, the volume was getting a bit concerning as far as when are we going to break out? When are we going to break out? And we were talking about how, you know, it had kind of fallen off a cliff last week before this breakout. And you can see here, I mean, a real clear direction has been chosen. And as I said, there's no real signs of exhaustion. Let's check just in case I'm misinformed. Nope. I mean, we're overbought on the 12-hour, which can stay that way for quite a while. Not too concerned there. OBV pullback, kind of continuing, not quite making new highs just yet. Stock is still up above 80. So, I mean, pretty strong momentum here. RSI also overbought. So this is on a higher, you know, of course, it's a tight trade right now, personally, I think. If you're getting in now and you're like, oh, I'm going to take my big long now, that's that's a different story. But there is no signs of exhaustion on the MACD just yet. And again, that gap fill. So all that to say, I'm bullish on Bitcoin in the short term and the long term. But in the midterm, I do think we need to fill that gap probably before any, like, talk about, new highs, which would come up on this chart, right? There's a big gap down here. Are we going to go to 20K and blast through and do the whole big 100K thing before that gets filled? Maybe not. But that's just conjecture, right? Who knows? What I really want to talk about today next is this old baby. Didn't get to trick it out with my colors yet, but I just wanted to drop a quick mention for Uniswap Vision. No way, in any way, are we affiliated. They probably don't even know I'm saying this, but I just found it today, and you can chart Uniswap coins on it. So there's a couple I've been keeping an eye on, and I just love that I can chart them now with a nice, smooth TradingView widget. It's basically got all the tools here, much like CoinTrader Pro, which is one I've used on stream before as well. So big shout out to Uniswap Pro, or Uniswap Vision. So I just got a little thing here on TradingView. It looks like we're still live though. I'll keep that going. Having some server difficulties over there today, perhaps. Now, speaking of which, DexT, why not? Cute little shitcoin. And it's fairly low cap, I believe, somewhere around 1 million. Could be in an uptrend. You can see low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low. It's definitely in an area where if you were FOMOing back here and you're not even looking at it now, arguably not doing it right, it's probably best to be... Oh, this was an extension and I don't have my templates, so bear with me. But I do really like the, you have to reverse this again and stick to the right. Yeah, I mean, we're right down at 618 back in that RLZ, so DexT is a cool one. It's basically like an explorer that can kind of let you watch live trades on Uniswap. Again, if Uniswap's going to continue to be hot and this kind of liquidity pool stuff is going to continue to be popular, DexTools is kind of a neat little project that I've been keeping an eye on, and the chart's starting to look pretty good. So quick plug on DexT. I like the chart, I like the coin. Now, let's see what we can find in alts, because these charts, a lot of them got destroyed. Some of them look worse than others. Some of them I'm like, okay, not touching you with a 10-foot pole, made new lows, broke its trend. Other ones, gotta say, Ambrosis is pretty impressive today. Obviously, it's a strong bounce after a very strong move up and drop, so it's just crazy volatile right now. But as you can see, thinking ahead, planning some bids, having a strategy could have really paid off here. Really strong bounce. Not really my style. After this, bases take a long time to build. So once there's a big rally, I'm not one to come down. A lot of people call it catching daggers. If you're in a big uptrend, sometimes it's a snipe entry and it can be great. Personally, I want to see what structure I get here. So I'll show you what I'm looking for as an example on Ambrosis. We talked a little bit about this on Monday at the very end, but didn't really get into it as much as I'd hoped. Okay, so it actually kind of already happened, and we got some continuations. It's actually looking really strong. We got the move down, so you have your initial low, and then the bounce. Almost inevitable that you're going to get a bounce because this was just in an uptrend. It looks really cheap to everyone. The bulls step in. The real test for me is when it comes back down, is there support and continuation? Now, obviously, if you wait for the continuation, you're buying a bit high. So buying at that support area with a stop at lows is really what I typically will do on alts here, or any kind of asset that just dumps like that. So as you can see here, oh my God, the sweet spot, sick tap, classic, right? So waiting for that low, watching the bounce, measuring the fib, talked about this on Monday, coming in, hunting entries around the sweet spot, 618, 702, 786, depending on your tolerance for risk and the size you want. Because if I want to put 1% risk on my account, and I buy at the 618, and I'm going to risk to the low, that's 13.5%. So that affects the size of my position, right? I mean, if I'm risking 1% on a position and I want to risk 1% on my account, theoretically, I could put my entire account into something. and risk the 1%. Obviously, there's a different systemic risk that comes with that because all your account is in one coin that could die or disappear or the exchange goes down. So typically don't do anything with my full account ever. But for example, if I'm entering at the sweet spot, and I'm only risking 11.5% or 11.7% on the position, so I can take a larger position while still maintaining 1% risk on my account. So when I say depends on, your opinion, it's really a smaller position. You can have a larger position. You can ladder it to kind of average down. So anyways, really nice example on Ambrosis and a strong reaction with volume. So that actually looks really good. If you're not in this, like I am not, waiting for maybe a little test down here, let's draw it up. Maybe I'm feeling a little FOMO, put on my pump tracer fib. I'm not going to just buy the highs, but maybe I'm getting that 382 tag, that 0.5, confluent with the EMAs here. Actually, the POC as well. So actually, I like that. And I could zoom in to a 15-minute and see if we're sliding into here, right? POC, 0.5, sliding in here, maybe seeing some bullish divergence. That'd be a sweet little setup. And again, sizing risk accordingly. Yeah, so that's actually what I'm going to keep an eye on. Let's say I'd like to go 213, front run that 382, so 213. Less than. When price is less than that, it's on the 382. Hunt amb entry, and I'll just tell myself that I'm going to remind myself why I set that entry. Shout out to TradingView for the alerts. I love them. Basically, that'll just let me know when I should care about this chart again. So when I'm hunting, I'm always setting alerts. Now let's keep going. Give me a shout out of any coins you want to see. Somebody asked about OMG USD today in the trading pit. So let's pull it up. Let's do a naked chart right up, and you all can see how I approach a chart. Makes sense to start far out because you just get that bird's eye view. Can kind of see what's going on here. I don't know if I love the history on that. Maybe we can get a little more with Coinbase. Definitely not. That's a weird thing to think. Coinbase just listed it. Maybe, oh, that's a lot better. Now, Finex is questionable with their altcoin volume. I typically don't go there to chart altcoins, but you can see obviously lots of history here, so it's a little better. I mean, we're in the bottom of the range on the weekly. Let's zoom in, see what we can find. I don't love that these lows came in below that. Overall, it's just a weaker base, right? Low, lower low, lower low, lower low. We really need to get a higher low here. Really tight one came in here, right? Bing, 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 but I don't know about that. Let's get a line chart. Sometimes it paints us a slightly different picture. Let's put a different color on that line. In honor of Nick. Yeah, so I don't know about that. Let's zoom in and see what else we can see. So really strong breakout. I mean, no doubt about that in May. Lots of volume coming in. Not sure how news related that was. Didn't follow myself. But we are parked. And I mean parked in this pump chaser fib. So, I mean, location is decent if you're looking for continuation, if you're bullish. I mean, no matter how you draw it up, at big breakouts like this where you have new structure confirmed, I like to put the pivot up here. Just think that that's new range to be fibbing on, so to speak, because, eventually you got to move on from the bottom of the chart because, maybe in a year we're up to $6 and what am I going to fib from here? No. So the rule I have for moving up my low pivots on the fib is new sort of breakout structure or strength. And sometimes you do have to play with it a bit, at least the way I do it. So let's see. Hey, Stanley, welcome to the stream. Someone talking about OMG. Need to check out the long short ratios on futures. Yes. That's actually not a bad idea. Not one that I go to very often. I definitely keep an eye on long open interest for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but not here. Yeah, Josh says could be a little bull flag. Ooh, an NXS. Rob's asking about NXS. We're going to check that out. So yeah, I mean, geez, look at this thing. Doesn't want to give up this zone. And frankly, if it did, it'd be quite bearish. So can I risk to the bottom of this zone? And is there some upside that would make that RR appropriate? Let's take a look. You know, I mean, trying to buy off the 0.5 at this point is your snipe entry as far as high R goes. Looking at about a 20%er to get back to that low. Where would I have to go to make that my 3-to-1 minimum? Not bad, 250. I mean, the fib extension is going to be painting us a pretty juicy target. So if we break out of here, this target is smashed almost certainly. So in fact, we could be looking at a double here if it breaks out to the upside. Now let's look at this a slightly different way. This is the daily. We already kind of got new market structure here. Let's take a look. We've got sort of the lower highs, right? Lower high, wow, lower high. And are we reversing trends right here? And if so, the trade is actually pretty much active. So let's take a look. We got the low, the higher low. We got a breakout. We've got, don't leave me hanging here, tool. We got a breakout, right? So that's a pretty sweet little setup. Now, if that's the case, and we've got that structure, I would also want to see divergence. Let's find it. All the parts to a healthy trade. Let's get off these and we'll take a look. I mean, volume's not falling off. OBV looks pretty strong, like that. And OMG, excuse me, MACD. All these letters. Yeah, look at that. Ooh. I don't know who you are, sir, but I like that you brought this to my attention because this looks good. We've got pretty much everything I need here for a juicy trade. Setup, right? Actually, shout out to the Way of the Turtles, or Way of the Turtle, reading a really cool trading book right now. And, you know, big chunk of that first part is really just about, it's not about being right. It's not about caring or knowing necessarily where price action goes. It's about finding a setup that works and just trading it. Might win, might lose, don't care. I know in the end there's an edge in this setup. I'm going to stay consistent. So let's be very clear about this. I love this setup. It is just that though. 50%, 60% win rate. Let's take a look. Low, higher low, breakout. And often, and you guys have probably heard me say this, it's this pullback after the breakout that I want to be getting long from. Really cranking up the R on the trade. The potential, let's go to the Hxro fib. And look at that. Ooh, the perfect entry came in on the Monday this week. So yeah, had I been watching, I mean, this is pretty textbook for what I look for, right? You get the low. Now, typically I might go to an RLZ, but obviously we've been trending really well in this market and the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum looking very strong versus USD. So the pump chasers are kind of in play as far as catching a strong trend. So you get the low, higher low, breakout, then draw up the fib, draw it off of that breakout pivot high and hunt your entry down in the RLZ. Now you can see this one came in. So this long should be, you know, should continue. This, we really shouldn't be losing this low, certainly shouldn't be losing this low. And I really like the look of that. I mean, it says a lot that it never pulled back below here. We've been quite bullish, hasn't gone anywhere above. Now sometimes for confluence, okay, nice. We got a lot of suggestions for alts in there and we're gonna dive into them. We're only halfway through the stream today, so that's beautiful. Yeah, let's check out OMSIGO. Say it all in one. Ooh, not as hot versus Bitcoin. You can see I had an old setup drawn in here, possibly from an old stream. I definitely didn't trade this one. I would admit it if I did. I did not. But as you can see, it's almost the exact same chart. Didn't work out. Now that's versus Bitcoin. So this is really like Bitcoin's going up, so the ARB bots, everything, take it down. Simply maintaining value versus USD means it has to drop versus Bitcoin because Bitcoin is ripping faces. So not as hot a chart here. At this point, I'd say the pump chaser is out of play. So Got to pull up. Well, look at that, 618. So, you know, after the pump chaser, if the trend's not going to be that strong, it's not going to be a tap and go. It's time to start thinking about the RLZ, 618. My level is kind of the sweet spot where I like to get in. So, I mean, we've tagged it. So definitely have permission to continue if we're a bull here, but the rollover on the EMAs and that is not as good. So it's really a question of, do you think Bitcoin's going to continue and how strong? Or really, do you care? Because if you have setups and you vetted them, and I have vetted this setup, this sort of 3-step, you know, location, divergence, market structure, go, you know, waiting for that pullback. I've vetted that one. It's been well vetted by a number of traders I know, and it works well. And it hits at a high enough percentage that, and again, I hate to be a hindsight guy, but it's already passed in this case for me, but, you know, you getting this 618, I probably would have got front run trying to hit that 782, 702, it happens. But if you're getting paid 3 to 1 on your money, and you're right half the time, you're making money. And if you're running trailing, maybe, you know, closing half the position here, moving your stop loss to half, break even, and then you're just trailing it, you know, pivot high, pivot low, pivot low, pivot low, moving up your stops. Obviously your RR can increase quite nicely, especially in a bull market. So, all right, let's pull this up. We've got, going back to quite a few ideas. Actually, NXS, I think that's called Nexus. Nexus Gold Corp. This is crypto, bitch. Get out of there. Here we go. Yeah, this one really fell off. Probably tagged like an 88.6, it looks like, even lower. Yeah, wow. So hey, I mean, if you're sniping fills, I know a guy. Shout out to Kevin. Loves to snipe his 88.6s. And if you like Nexus, he'd have been filled right now, and you know, and then you can just risk to that low. It's kind of an insane way to trade. You know, it's impressive. You got to be patient. You got to not care. So that's Nexus, high volume breakout, and let's see. This is really what I was talking about earlier. Let's apply it to this chart. So you have that initial sell down, which was Monday, the bounce up, and so for am I a bull, am I a bear, I want this to hold. I wanted this to hold here. Come down, do something here, continue. The fact that it went right through, although to be fair, it's a pretty low volume wick, so probably just an empty book, somebody panic dumping like 1,000 of these things, not very many. But yeah, typically I'm trying to get these things to hold. So I guess we'll have a second chance on Nexus here. It's a little bit more value in this move down. And if it holds and we get some structure and we zoom in and there's some bullish divergence on the MACD as it slides in, hell yeah. I mean, the whole altcoin space in a way is setting this kind of thing up. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because we are kind of at that time where it's a few days after the initial impulse down. So now it's the real test. Now, you know, any of you guys who felt some FOMO yesterday, I feel ya. Some leaderboards, 30, 40, 70% bangers. And if you look at the charts, a lot of them were just, you know, potentially just a reaction to how severe that drop was. And it's really not that bounce that's bullish to me, announcing the bull. It's really the pulling back down, and does it get support on the second attempt to go lower? And that's kind of what we're into today. Let's take a look at seller. I'm working through the list here, guys. This is great. Nothing I love more than charting this stuff. In fact, a lot of my best trades this past few months and weeks have come from ideas that have been brought to us by the community. So let's take a look here. Yeah, Curtis Faith, Way of the Turtle, great book. And I say that, and I will admit I haven't read the whole thing. I started reading it last week, so I'm like third of the way through, but it's really good stuff. And then frankly, a lot of it's review, a lot of, you know, aligning with cognitive bias and managing risk and trend trading, but it's reiterating a lot, and it's packaging it in a way that makes a lot more sense to me now. And like anything, you know, more exposure, grasp concepts. So I've been even taking notes. I really, really enjoy it. Good reading materials. And Nick, actually, who's on the stream with me all the time, he recommended it. He's been reading it as well. So it's kind of nice to read the same materials so you can discuss it with people you work with. Seller's not looking too hot. And, you know, just keep in mind, guys, I'm never ragging on a project or trying to hate on your bags. I'm just giving my honest, objective opinions on things based on what the chart says. Now, if that closes below there, you've got bearish market structure. Is that a big deal? Really, if you think about it, like that's a really nice rally we've had after not even a very big base, right? Kind of a weak base, not like a year or anything, right? I mean, frankly, the chart is not too old. I mean, a nice downtrend for sure. Didn't take its time making a base. In fact, it ended the base on a lower low. Really clear break up here, retest, nice entry there. And it's been on a trend, and trends reverse. Assets consolidate, and from those consolidations, if you can find your way in, I mean, that's a nice 230% rally in a couple of months. Might be time for this one to cool down, and we'll know a lot more tonight in about 3 hours, actually. And I'll give you an example of this because I know, you know, no comment on the project. I don't really know anything about Seller other than it's a Binance IEO and they tend to do well. But looking back, again, Ren, we talked about this on Monday, but real quick, like same kind of thing, right? Really nice trend, tons of love, great project, hits trendline resistance, rolls over, closes below, squeezes up after confirming bearish market structure. And this was a beautiful opportunity to protect your bag. And frankly, if I'm a big fan of a project, there's nothing more that I want than to get more of it. And I can't get more Ren tokens by holding my Ren. They can go up in value. I have 1,000 of them. They can double in price, but I still have 1,000 of them. But as a trader, if I can spot these opportunities, and you don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to short here and get left, you know, you really want to wait until it's very clear, especially if it's a precious bag to you and you're like, no, this one's the keeper and blah, blah, blah. You know, not recommending cut your bags and try to short. It's harder than it sounds, but this one was clear as day. And Seller might be setting up an opportunity, really. That's what you should think of it as. Now, if I'm holding and I'm not paying attention and I just want it to go moon, you know, I don't want to hear that it's going to go down. But yeah, if I'm a big fan of the project, now look, we did get a higher high. So let's see what this closes like and then what that short setup might look like. So you've got to wait for that pivot low to come in. It could be tomorrow, whatever. But when that comes in, there should and will almost certainly be a bounce. And it's that bounce that is the buy the dippers coming in. And if it's bearish, they will be overpowered by the bears at some point. And then that's where it craps out. So it's about waiting for the confirmation of structure, drawing up that fib, catching that exhaustion bounce, whether it's a 382 because it's pretty exhausted, quite exhausted, or it's an RLZ. Now this wick is kind of ridiculous. So it really dragged this thing up here. Might be looking at 382 phasing out. And if you do get a trade like that and you're wrong, well, you've got to have an alert set. You've got to have, you know, an opportunity to get yourself back in, and you do take a hit. You lose a bit. You buy back less. And if you do that all the time because you're too eager to try to do this strategy on the way up, it can feel awful. So again, it's not as easy as it looks, not hard, or it's not very easy. However, if you snipe that and you do manage a nice short trade, it feels great to buy back 2, 3, 4 times the amount down here. So anyways, my long-winded thoughts on Seller. So let's have a look. Make sure we're still healthy in the stream here. Yep, everything's moving along. All right. Oh, saying hello on TradingView. Hey, guys. Good to have you. Now, let's take a look at the next one. One Fet Sol Dusk. Yeah, these are all Binance IEOs, and I thought it was kind of cool that on Monday, when everything was dying, these things just topped the leaderboard. Like, look at that Monday candle. Kind of sick, actually. Binance IEOs mooning in unison on dump day. It was pretty cool. I mean, what a promo, but kind of sad if, you know, a lot of people got caught in those moves. It's unfortunate. Way she goes. Fucking way she goes, but gotta be careful. Now, Same kind of thing. I mean, I've been a little hesitant to put out charts on these because they all look like they need a break for me. Which is part of, it's part of the life cycle of an asset. It takes breaks. FET, same kind of thing. Look at that sick pump chase though. We talked about this, I think it was like last week on the stream. That's why this is up here, but we had that pump chaser fib and continuation, the higher volume. I wanted to say offhand, it looks exhausted, but let's see. I mean, it's made a new high. Probably need a 12-hour if I want to spot some divergence. If it's there, and it is, figures, right? Making lower highs, which just means that the move is slowing down. So it's a way to engage the internal strength of a move. If you just look at price, you're just like, well, it's going up. That's bullish, and it is. But internally, the speed is going down. The momentum rolling over, confirmed bearish divergence, and lower highs as the price makes a higher high. So again, I'm a bit, let's just role play here. I'm holding some FET. I decide I really want it. I zoom out. I say, whoops. I say, we're going to the moon, Alice, and we're taking FET with us. Like this thing is gonna go crazy. That's my future plan with it. However, I'm a trader. I'm an aspiring trader. I'm learning about trading. I want to take an opportunity to increase my bag. Well, the R here is to the short side, that's for sure. The better side of the trade as far as what you could be rewarded with based on the risk you have to take. And that's, well, let's see, a old breakout level here, right? I mean, just quick and dirty drawing up here, but that's what I see. And, you risk having to buy back 13% higher. And, of course, you even risk getting buy stopped here and then you're back in and then it still craps out. I mean, there's always risk with trading, but, up against these highs, we're in a bull market though. So I think sort of my thoughts. Personally, I would not buy this at this level. I would want to see kind of continuation. I'd want to see it undo some of these divergences. I mean, on the 4-hour, it looks a heck of a lot stronger, doesn't it? And then we get some TRI guys in the crowd. TRI, shout out to this chart. If you have some opinions on it, maybe even have a setup on it. Higher highs on the year, but OBV is clearly rolled over, which is on balance volume, just a bit of a trend in the volume. So again, not a buy for me. And I'm not even saying it's a short. I mean, there's not really crazy bearish market structure to work with either. It's just kind of an exhausted trend up. It is interesting that it made new highs yesterday, though. It's definitely standing out from the pack in that regard. And, this is like such a quick and dirty assessment. You should always look into things like future events. I think even through August, if Bitcoin rallies or whatever happens, there's going to be some coins, and I've got one today I'm going to share with you guys, that will defy gravity. Even if things are consolidating, maybe downtrending, rebuilding, regaining strength. There's going to usually be some coins. Like there's always a leaderboard and some will run. So maybe FET's one of them. If it's got something coming up, it's going to put eyes on that versus everything else. SOL. Strong uptrend, right? Highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Looks like a fifth wave. If you're counting, let's see. I don't know what this one is. I actually just noticed it trading on Binance the other day. Yeah, rising volume. MACD's not too bad. Oh, no divergence. Yeah, this one looks decent. You really gotta have a good frame of reference for what you think the market's going to do. This concerns me, and this may be why I seem like Mr. Bear today on the alts. We've had a 69-day downtrend in Bitcoin dominance. Risk on window, very rewarding, very juicy. Lots to enjoy here. It's got to stop sometime. It's got to take a break, and that's okay. It's it's part of the way she goes. So is it smack the support? Got a little fake out, pretty gross. Not a nice trick they played. Way she goes, bounce it up. Now we closed above this range high. So I actually almost yesterday was like, oh, I really should close this risk on window, but I want to give it one chance because Bitcoin plays gnarly tricks and that was a gnarly shakeout. And so if this closes above here again, about 64.35, I've got to close the window, which just means for me, I'll be really chintzy about altcoins for a little bit. And that's more about being bullish on Bitcoin than it is about being bearish on altcoins. I want to hold on to my sats for dear life. And I don't want to be putting them up against an asset that's looking very bullish, taking dominance back in the market. I learned that lesson here. Anyone who was around in 2019 knows what I'm talking about. This was a really nasty lesson for the holders, for anyone who was holding on to their bag saying, yeah, I've already traded it. Maybe even it's a free bag, free still has value. And suddenly, a free bag you had that was worth X is worth 90% less. So I learned that lesson, and that's why I came up with this chart and put on some pretty colors and help it explain sort of the way I trade alts. And it's almost like a seasonal forecast. And unfortunately, looks like the season is changing. And that's just the way she goes. Right? Yeah, Crypto Dynasty was there. It was awful. It was just awful. Because the project that was worth, let's just say Aeon, that's probably my heaviest bag, and I still have that, free position. It's worth, a couple thousand now, but it used to be worth a down payment. And, it just is what it is. And it sucks because they're doing all this development, and you're like, well, they're even more closer to all those things that we were bullish about before, but it's just not the way markets work. There was weak hands, we had to wash it out, we had inflation mechanisms on that particular coin. Anyways, yeah, it sucked. So keeping an eye on this. If we do close above here, it's going to be one of these. And frankly, right now, as far as predictions go, I think we will. But I'm holding out hope. And, and we'll be into a risk off window. And that'll just be the way it is. And we'll ride this thing until it goes. And when it's risk off, which is actually good if Bitcoin's moving up because it's just still bullish and there's more money coming in. We're getting our media hype cycle, and it's just generally good news for the space. And the next window, okay, here's a thought, because I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but look at this. What if this is what we're about to do here? Okay, risk off, alts are getting wrecked. They're consolidating, they're building strength. Got this downtrend we're working with. Top out, risk on window comes back, and whoosh, it's not all bad if we take a few weeks off here. I think it seems likely, and then we look back in this spring, because this is like November, December, getting into next year. Then we look back and we say whoa, bro, that was the test pump. Right? So let me get a good example. What's a nice alt that just kind of rallied off a strong base? Let's say VET. VET kind of led the way in some ways during this, right? So let's just look, what would that look like on a VET chart? Well, we got a really strong base here. That's that took July 2019. It's like a year to form. So I really like that base. Lots of volume coming in, clear signs of accumulation, big breakout. What is that, what we just did on the dominance chart, look like on VET? Well, you get that squeeze up we talk about, okay, and then, we're just hanging out, and, that's not as accurate, but you see what we're looking at here, guys? See what I'm trying to say? I hope that makes a bit of sense. Point being, I think this risk on will close, because we're just inflated, maybe a little too far, too fast. Bitcoin dominance rallies, draws everyone back into crypto, right? 14K, 15K, 16K, whatever it is. Or maybe just washes back down to 96, who cares? But point is, it's this move that we've all been waiting for anyways. If we really want to see what we were hoping against Bitcoin, it's this drop, right out of this whole range, definitely breaking these lows, getting into the 50s again for dominance. And to kind of illustrate what that might look like here, again, these aren't predictions. This is just, some thoughts on how we're short-term bear now, but maybe just it's all part of the big plan for the bulls. You know, coming down here and just, yeah, having a little bit of pain, having a, you know, weak hands leaving, strong hands taking up positions. That's kind of how she goes. And then where do we, you know, and then you look back and you're like, holy crap, that was the test pump, which you often do see before big, mega high time frame FU rallies. So for what it's worth, if I had, you know, somebody's like, I'll give you $5 to tell me your best guess on what the bull case is for these altcoins, it's something like that. And frankly, I hope I'm wrong and it's just like, bing, and we just continue. Very possible. Very, very possible. But the short-term bear case could be that, very easily testing this trend line. Or even just like, that'd be cool too. I mean, this is why it's kind of silly to get into this kind of predictive stuff, because there's just so many possibilities, right? Bearish retest. So what I will say is that seller, FET, most of these ones to me, Sol actually looks not bad. Let's get to one that I do really like. Dusk is, okay, so Dusk is a request. I'm gonna pull it up. I have an old chart, probably got wrecked by that move. I mean, not bad. This chart's still pretty relevant. We got support. Like that, actually. Dusk looks good. I take it back. Dusk looks all right. You know, lots of nice targets up here. Let's get to a daily, give us a little more detail. And so, yeah, that week, we got about 5 days to find out how Dusk feels as far as that weekly goes, because if it closes back above support, that's going to look real nice on the weekly, right? Wick down, close back above, continue. SR level here is trading above. And this is, okay, good example of what I wanted to talk about with, well, how do I know that that was the dip that I buy? Well, I can't say how we know for sure, but I will tell you this. This is how I'm going to be finding my entries. Fibit. There we go. So assuming this pivot up or this bounce up stops here, you know, if it continues a bit, I have to keep drawing this up, but assuming it stopped there, this is the entry. These are the kind of areas that I'm looking at. Because once I buy here, that's your higher low. If you're a bull, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to come down, make a low, make a higher low, and go. If it slides in here on divergence, maybe even on low time frames, get some little structure going, then I'm only risking to here, because it shouldn't drop below that if it's a bull. So that's how I'm looking, and that's how I will continue to watch Dusk, actually, because there's a lot of excitement around Dusk in the trading pit, and it's one that I've been keeping an eye on myself. And it's also, you know, on the 4 hour, you can see a little bit of structure already coming in hot. So we'll see if I even get that opportunity to bounce there. But yeah, no, Dusk actually looks not bad. And it's got a much nicer looking base. Not insanely good looking, but you know, it's pretty drawn out. March, July. Okay, maybe take that comment back, but either way, looks pretty decent for continuation. And then, you know, look, you're risking to 400. Unless you want to go right into another accumulation range, which as a bull, you probably don't. A lot of opportunity cost there. Now let's see, Troy, another good one. It has been running. Oh dear, Paul, wasn't this one you were trying to get a double on over at, oh no, and I even said, I was like, oh, you're looking pretty good. But I mean, I know the strategy you're running there and it's just set and forget, so hopefully that, you know, but it's too bad. What was your double? I think you said it was something like really close. 84 maybe, whatever it was, sweet spot. But we'll see. Let me know in the chat there, Paul, if you're still here. See a few of you there. Let me know if you did end up exiting. I'd be curious to know how you played that. I know if it's a little lady strategy, you're selling half on a double, which means probably not touching it, even if it does want to come back down to support, which is what it looks like it wants to do here. And that would actually be pretty standard bullish price action. And so, you know, probably get a little bounce in there. You know, this is the test for Troy. you're going to want to see some kind of reversal pretty quick off that, or at least park above. I wouldn't want to lose 44 if I'm a bull, at least not on like a close. Might wick, but if it comes back at all. Let's take a look at the pump chaser fib. Clip of that support would potentially be... Yeah, Stanley, are we talking dusk? Can't tell how the delay affected that. So let's see, you know, quick and dirty. Up here, risky one, potentially clean entry, yeah. I'm not sure if you're talking about dusk or Troy. I would assume Troy because we're here now, but could be a delayed comment on dusk. Pump chaser fib, I mean, yeah. How bullish are you on Troy? Because there is a trade to be taken first here. Again, having that higher time frame sort of, what should I say, bias, right? It's so much easier to trade when you're like, we're a bull, I'm hunting bull, I'm aggressive. And if you're right, and we are in a bull, that's, you know, and you can make some sick gains like that because you're catching all these dips. You're just buying the dip. If you're a little unsure, which admittedly I am because of my risk on, risk off stuff, and I think, you know, Bitcoin's going to trend here, then we're not in a bull for altcoins just yet. There is going to be a time in life probably when they rally together. I don't know that we're there yet. So I have hard times buying these 382s today. I would like to see this thing chill the fuck out if I'm going to start grabbing 382s. But there is a pump chaser fib, you know, happening here. And if you're a big bull on Troy and you want to, you know, there's some places you could risk to fairly tight. And that's a trade right there. I mean, get up into the short RLZ. But given that we smacked this resistance, smacked this fib extension, you know, the volume's really nice. Can't argue that. The momentum is strong. OBV made new highs. You know, it's just on a pullback now. So again, this is one of the stronger ones for sure. And it did put in a pretty nice base. Again, back to that March kind of dusk level. Now let's see. Ooh, we got a question about the charts. Okay. Appreciate that, guys. David and To the Moon. Sorry I didn't look up there for a little while. Appreciate the shout on the charts. You know, we actually have some custom colors that we put on here from Hxro. Let's take a look, because I agree. I really like them too. Actually, I got to put these on. Whoops. I usually go opacity 80 for the wicks, just to mix it up with a little texture. But I'll show you the custom colors in Hex, and if you want to screen grab, so that is our custom green. I can put it in the chat actually over here. So our custom green is 00FF00. And that's our lime green, and then the pink or fuchsia is this one here. I'll just copy that over for you as well. And I agree. It's nice on the eyes. I really like it. It's kind of fun, spunky, and obviously branded really nicely with what we got going on over at herein.io. So glad you like it. And actually, the custom purple's there. The one knock on the purple is that it apparently it's a little hard to see on mobile on the black background. So for the guy who sent that feedback, I really apologize. I'm seeking ideas. So if anyone has ideas on a third color, because I'm open to ideas. Green and pink stay, but purple could be changed if it makes it easier for you guys to see what we're doing here. Okay, zoom out on Troy. Let's do it. Stanley has asked, and I shall deliver. Yeah, so clip of that support would be potentially a decent inverse head and shoulders. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. So Stanley sees the left shoulder, big old head, higher right shoulder. So yeah, coming down in here, that's a sick, you're a sick man, Stanley. That's really nice. And I did not see that. So yeah, zooming out, I mean, it's a pretty inked up chart, but I'm gonna, actually TradingView has a way around this as well. I'm gonna copy Now I can destroy without worrying about it, and let's take a look. Then we'll go to a 3-day, kind of meet you in the middle with your weekly there. Too far. Oh no. Thought I had you. Let's see. We're going overtime today, guys. That's just the way it's going to be, because I got more shitcoins to chart. I didn't even get to my idea yet. It's so many requests, which is what I really would like to see, and I'm happy. We're going to run overtime. Daily zoomed out, pretty dang clean, but a risky way to trade inverse head and shoulders. Let's see. Okay, so daily. I mean, yeah, it's hard, man. I wish I could get you on here. Maybe Stanley, I know you're pretty dope with the TA in one of the groups I'm in, so maybe I'll get you on here one day. What do you say to that? Hopefully that head and shoulders will be around. No problem bringing on talented traders to the stream, and I know that's what you are. So neckline at the peaks. Okay, so we're talking like up here. It's hard to take this kind of info live and do it, but I think I see exactly what you're saying. So basically what Stanley's saying is like we could be getting this really large structure in here. We get that kind of left shoulder, head, right shoulder, go. Yes, all right, sweet. Well, we keep an eye on you, Stanley, and I know where to find you, so we're going to have some slots open available for sure, maybe even some new time slots in general. So I'm looking for people who are interested and want to come on and share some alpha. Now, that's a good look on Troy, and I agree. And in general, it's going right back to, to this idea that, of course, there's a chance here at the pump chaser, but it's not really my style this minute. I think it was great through the trend. We've seen over the last few weeks, it's been crushing. 382 and go, 382 and go. But with that big kind of rollover, and I'm a little uncertain around, what Bitcoin wants to do. Frankly, I think it's just really bullish right now. So I'd be more comfortable with this. I mean, look at me, me, I love my sweet spot, 702. Confluent with this support, confluent with, previous breakout, confluent with Stanley's inverse head and shoulders. And then, sliding into that could be a week, could be 2 weeks. Is that what Bitcoin's got left in this move? As far as like letting the altcoins breathe while it comes down to fill some momentum back in, some gaps. That makes sense to me. So again, far out. We're not there, probably days away, weeks away. But that's what I love about trading. When there's so many assets and there's so much to do, I can set this and just chill. One thing I've learned in the last couple of years is just wait for it. Wait for the setup to come in. I am bullish on Troy, but I'm going to wait until I've got a vetted setup to get in on it, and it will come eventually. I'll give you an example of that, because I love examples, illustrating points. Aeon's one that I'm very bullish on. Obviously, you guys know I told you earlier I got my big old bag, not big anymore, but a heavy one, and I missed this move. And I was I'm in the community there, and I'm in the Telegram, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're a trader. You're not even in." And I just was like, "Whatever, man. I missed it. I'm pissed." Like, we got a nice breakout retest, and it went. But I was patient. I didn't buy, even though I was, feeling the FOMO. So they say don't marry it. Well, this is one that I basically got married to a couple years ago, so it's hard for me to look away. But look, Gann knocked him out, formed a downtrend, followed the downtrend, got this 8-to-1 Gann angle came in, another nice little rally up. So I've been trading it through this range quite a bit. There's been quite a few trades, and this one from a few weeks ago, I don't know if it was an update video or just right on the stream, but just a sick level came in here on the 8-to-1 right off the sweet spot, and I circled it as we were pulling down from this pennant, and I thought, if this hits, I'm going to have my bids working, and I did, and it feels great, because you look back, you're like, holy shit, that smacked. And we trended up, and last weekend actually, I exited all my alts, because I just thought this, Bitcoin, ETH rallying, things crazy, rolling over, and really happy I did. It was actually an ETH trade. It was trading versus ETH. So when ETH took off last Friday, I decided I'm cutting everything that I had valued against ETH, and this was one of them. This is the Bitcoin chart, but yeah. And I guess my point is like, okay, wait for it to come back. It was in the short RLZ, thinking places where I'm taking profits. And sure enough, we're right back into this RLZ, and it's still not ready yet. But it will be. And when it is, I'll be watching. So for now, I'm going to pull up the chart that I really want to talk about today, because it's a long that I am in, and I think it's got some legs for August, regardless of the overall alt market. That's the kind of shit I like to trade. Oh, appreciate that, Corpus. Yeah, this thing, I mean, just be learning, guys. That's the thing, you know. I'll ask questions. If I don't know something that you guys mention, I'll be like, what's that? Like, if I had any advice to anybody coming in here, you know, a lot of us young gentlemen, ego comes in. Sometimes you want to be more than you are. You know, I'm on the stream. I'm an analyst. I work with Hxro Labs. But there's a lot of shit I don't know. And I will never learn that shit if I don't just admit that I don't know it. So my one piece of advice I would give is come in, you know, sitting at the front of the class, asking questions wherever you are, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to learn some shit. And when you fuck up, just write it down, journal it, figure it out, reflect on it, you know? Pick yourself apart and find resources that can teach you this stuff, and then just commit to the process and learn it. I've been in this stuff for 3 years, and I imagine, I know for a fact I know a shitload more than I did 3 years ago. Some of the things I did were laughable coming in here. Like, I did okay for a total noob, but, you know, but I know in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I'm going to look back at me now and be like, oh, man, some of the things I was doing with my trading, you know, like, you've got to, in my opinion, create this as a lifelong sort of mission journey. And so, yeah, appreciate that, Corbus. And if you like what I'm doing, just remember that I'm just a guy. You can do it too. Just got to learn. Stick around with us, and I will teach you as much as I can as we go. Just be sure to ask questions. Look at this. Actually, okay, stream's over. Got to go buy some Aeon. No, but let's take a look at this, because this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, Crypto Dynasty, me too. Lucky as a noob, if it was 2017, if you're really lucky. And I took out enough in 2017 at the end of the year that I was like, okay, no matter what happens, I'm going to be happy. Well, it was a good amount, and I felt really good about it, life-changing stuff. And then I watched about 2 or 3 times that turn into dust, and then I realized it wasn't, you know, it was not as easy as I thought. And it turned into way more dust than I expected, obviously, yeah. So anyways, let's take a look at this, because this is exactly what I'm talking about, what I'm looking for. This chart, big dump down Monday. The bounce up usually doesn't last, right? Because we got to test those lows again and see, are we a bull? Are we going to continue? We are right into that sweet spot. That's the area where I'm getting interested now. And I want to see, is there divergence? Are we sliding in there really, you know, are we coming in violently and we're going to just, there's momentum is increasing, bearish, or are we just gently sliding in as the buyers kind of start to overtake the move? Let's see. Well, we had bearish divergence moving up. MACD rolled over here before price did, gave us a little hint, and sure enough, price followed. MACD down here, kind of undecided. It's making lower lows. So we're not seeing the divergence yet. So let me show you where that will probably come in if it does. We've got a low. If price can come and make a lower low, but the MACD continues to roll up, making a higher low, that's our divergence. And when the MACD crosses 0, that's our confirmed bullish divergence. And then what I would need is price to do the same thing. So that's really just a big old mess now. Let's go back a bit. So yeah, in that case, we probably are looking at one more low to really solidify this, get right into that, and then want to come and break this. And if that happens, here's the sickest part, guys. Often you can take from this and catch that impulse up out of here that confirmed the structure. You know, so just say it went up to there, and it's confirmed the bullish divergence. It's confirmed the bullish market structure, right? We're in the RLZ. I can buy here. It's my zone. and you get all that confirmation, and then you don't even have to just say, oh yeah, it's a bull and I'm going to buy here. You can usually set up another fib, this littler one, off just that move and park the bids here. And it's actually ridiculous how many times you get filled. And it took pain and time for me to learn that, because I used to buy these breakouts often and then like have my stop losses down here and be like, well, if it comes back, this is the fill zone, baby. Still a lot of stuff that has to happen. But let's take an example, because this happened on, when did this happen? On Ambrosis recently? Yeah, back here. Before all that noise. Where was it? This is the, okay, let me find it, because it's like the exact same setup. Yeah, it was right here. Perfect setup. So let's just illustrate that with one that, and I, because I actually traded this one, so it's not just one of these hindsight things. It was beautiful, if I say so myself. It was, all right, you can see it. So breakout, come back into the RLZ, new fib, and you had all the bits, right? Had the MACD, whatever time frame it was, I think it's the 4 hour, but had the higher lows in the MACD, so we're getting some divergence. Oh, gross. Get out of here, VPVR. Right, so there we go. So sliding in on divergence, higher low, lower low, good, check. Put the low, put the higher low, breakout. Y'all already see it, right? And then it was just, okay, I'm gonna set my bids. I already had that. So this is where the setup fired. But then it's like, okay, I want to get the best RR as possible. I want to risk the least amount of my account with the largest bag I can possibly have. That's just the way you got to be. You got to be greedy. Max RR or get the hell out. And look at it. Comes right in. Now, I often talk about the sweet spot and I do trade it. In this case, I actually bought at 146 and 143. So, I mean, sick fills. And then I had to wait not very long, like 2 days, and it was just like boom town. And one step further, what was really fun with this trade is using these fibs, man. I'm telling you, I love these fibs. But it was this. Get that fib extension. I mean, this was just like a fib trader's dream, this trade. Boom. Start thinking about taking profits. There was actually a slightly different fib extension. Seemed like it was just up at the highs before, but anyway, I erased that chart because it got totally wrecked and I was making a new one earlier today. But kind of went off on a tangent there. I hope that makes sense. Now, okay, I've talked about this altcoin. It's not a big secret, it's not some G-gum, Q-tum. It's not some, new sneaky shitcoin, but it is looking good. And one of the reasons it's on my radar is because, okay, I thought I had a chart on it. Maybe it's on my perps chart. Could be this one. Why do I keep putting G? Let's see. Binance. Boom. Yeah. Okay. So look, it's the volume that made me pay attention. I looked it up. It has like a mainnet hard fork thing coming up end of August. 2 words that tend to put coins on people's radars, right? Because that's what it is. When you get this world of all these different coins, it's like, well, what tells me, what tools can I use to think, okay, this coin's going to run before the others? They all might look the same on TA, but what's going to separate them? Volume and catalysts, for me, are the 2 big ones. So we've got the large influx of volume, clear change in whatever's going on here, right? And that makes sense. We had some price movement to go with it. But now we're just parked at this resistance here. Not rejected, had a chance to break down, didn't, had a chance to break down, didn't. And this is versus USD. Hasn't lost really any USD value, so it's staying on par with Bitcoin. Well, I shouldn't say that. Bitcoin's moving up, but it's not losing value versus USD, okay? So we get the bullish market structure breakout. We had some divergence here. Get rid of these again. Overbought right now on the Willy, so I don't love that. And frankly, the position I have in this right now is sized such that I could add. I'm hoping I get a chance to. But it's sized also that if I don't, I'm okay. I can always add on the way up too, right? I'm learning a lot this year, especially working with Nick. I mean, he's a pretty gnarly trader when it comes to buy stops and rolling with trends. He's taught me a lot in that sense. For example, with ETH recently, as it's been rallying up from 250, like I used to be taking profits sometimes on pullbacks, right? I'm like, oh no, grab the profit. But it's like, no, let's wait. And if it continues, well, I'm buying that breakout and we keep going up. Move the stop to the low pivot, right? Stuff like that. So I don't need this thing to roll over for me to get a bigger entry. I could potentially be picking some up along the way because it's the end of August that this thing has its mainnet. So the catalyst, if that's going to factor at all, should last right until here. So let's get that on there. I think it's the 31st, 30th, something like that. Could be the 28th. I don't remember the exact day, but it's generally like the last couple of days of August. So yeah, we're gonna see a rally. Is that going to push QTM ahead? I think so. I think the probability is high enough that I like the trade, and I've got some reasons to take my setup. And the BTC chart looks a bit wrecked, but it also doesn't look so bad. I mean, certainly bearish market structure rolled over. That's basically what the whole world just did the other day. But you can see the bigger structure came in, and we're really just kind of checking that breakout level for now. Hasn't lost anything significant in that sense. So I would like to see this hold. Otherwise, why not just hold Bitcoin, right? If it's going to get destroyed versus Bitcoin, it's not a great trade. You could just be holding Bitcoin and save yourself some headaches. But I really like it versus USD. I think it looks like it's just ready to pop. And I got a pretty clear idea of when I'm wrong. The dream entry, which I don't think I'll get because we've already checked it, would be here, right? But we already broke out of that, checked it, and went on. So if we're a strong bull, we shouldn't really be doing that again. But that's, it's a sick entry if you caught it. So those are my thoughts. I think QTM is going to be potentially a standout performer in August because of that sort of mainnet stuff coming up, especially when it's not just rah bull for everything, which it might be. But if it's not, traders got to trade, and some things will catch their rallies. And so I'm looking for things that have catalysts, that have, announcements, big events, stuff like that. And so QTM stood out to me. And so I got a long position on it. Another one I really like, while we're on the topic of things that I am long on, is FTT. Now, this one's kind of concerning me today. I really liked it with this breakout. I mean, I'll have to pull up the USD chart because that thing, but I mean, this is a pretty clear invalidation for me, which frankly doesn't look great right now. Kind of in a bit of consolidation zone here. So not seeing what I'd like here. But look here. So as I bring this up, I might get stopped out on my setup that I have right now for the US or for the BTC pair. But another thing to note is that this thing is in price discovery, much more illustrated on their own chart. So the trend is strong. It just made new highs on very high volume, no loss of momentum. Oh yeah. All right, backup server for the win. All right, YouTube decided it didn't like the server it was using. So anyways, backup server. So real quick, guys, it's about 5:25. I'm getting pretty close to the end of the hour. But let's take a look. I mean, yeah, FTT right at the lows, not showing the signs of reversal that I was hoping. But the USD pair is strong. So I'm going to check myself and maybe, I might have to cut my BTC setup, call it a loss, take my little hit, and then maybe I'm going to hunt for some price discovery trading over here, because I mean, you can see there is interest from somebody taking this thing higher. And I mean, if you look at some of their metrics, just, over the last year for overall volume and what they're doing and their listings, I mean, they're moving fast and they're doing some big stuff. So I like it on a fundamental basis. I like it on this technicals, higher highs, trending up, just broke out on volume. So that's what's got me looking at it. But again, versus Bitcoin, my setup, my one single trade setup might get blown up and I might have to search for a new reason to be long on this one. And it probably would be on the USD chart. And that's it. I think we'll wrap. Tendies on Uniswap. Okay, what the hell is Tendies? I haven't had a chance to ask, but let's take a look. Tend. It's not even on here. Contract. Okay. Let's see. Let's check out that contract. I don't know if I can type that in here. That'd be really sweet if you could on Uniswap Vision. Okay. I think I got something here. Crypto, Dex tools. Contract. Now this is sometimes a little tricky. Pair Explorer. Dex tools is sick. I sometimes struggle to find the thing I'm looking for, which is too bad. Because it should be easy. And they're still in beta, so it is what it is. But yeah, like I've got Dex saved. It's their token. I've got Swap saved. You can see a beautiful interface. Shout out to the free shill. I just think it's a cool tool. Holy crap. The scores just blew up on this thing. They were not that high before. What's that all about? But yeah, it kind of paints a little picture. I don't know, unless you can tell me offhand. You're supposed to be able to search by contract. And I don't see anything here. So if anyone is more adept at the Dex tools, sometimes you can find it here. Maybe I'll just try that. Oh yeah, there it is. Boom. All right, tendies. Makes me think of hockey, goaltender. Hockey's actually starting back up. I'm fired up. Tried that as well, but couldn't find it. Okay, so here it is. Tendies token. Yeah, I mean, hell yeah. Got some bullish market structure here for what it is. Hard to chart on this thing. Can't zoom in, zoom out, but it's definitely not trending down. Arguably just hit a breakout point at 14 cents. Yeah, so if you want to find it, Corpus, go to Home, Uniswap, and then you just got to hope it's in the recent trades. And in this case, I just did Control F, tend, and there it was. So if it's not very popular or whatever, you may not find it this way, and they only show sort of the most recent trades. Or is this pool activity? Yeah, so the more recent pool activity. But anyways, tend is here. Click Show Live Data, and you can find it. Yeah, there you go. So I don't know what to say beyond this chart. I mean, I guess these are, wow, 15-minute candles. So the next place I would go, especially when I'm dealing with this, this kind of coin, is over to CoinGecko, which I've completely transitioned to from CoinMarketCap. I just think it's smoother and better, and they got a cool app, and you can sign in and have your own watch list and stuff. I like it a lot. I think CMC can probably do that too, but whatever. CoinGecko. Yeah, I like it. Now, let's check out Tend. It's not even here. Womp, womp, womp. Wow. So, like, nobody knows about this project. Let's see. I find CoinGecko tends to put things on first. They're a little maybe less stringent. So what's the other one? Coin paprika. Jackson's asking about Doge. Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember the tend mentions in the trading pit have been hot. There's been a lot of like, you know, hype about the chicken buckets. So where I would do my research, I don't even know. Where you even hear about this thing, it's a mystery, but it's on here. I mean, it doesn't mean, let's see. Let's just Google Tend token. Tend token, TTA, no? So I don't know, man. This is off of my sort of area. Tendies token. You guys got me down shitcoin creek over here. Messiah, help! I don't know. Tendies token. Let's see. I mean, it's a contract, that's for sure. They have a smart contract, and they are on Dex Tools and they're on Uniswap. But outside of that, I can't find anything about them at a very quick, you know, live on the air glance. But I'm gonna refer you guys to Messi. Maybe we can get him to share with us sort of his thoughts. I see chicken buckets and I see mentions of moons and whatnot, but I don't know a thing about it. The 15-minute looks great. I will cap my analysis there. It's at resistance, but it's looking strong. And we'll see. We'll see. I hope it does really well. I will tell you this. This guy, Messiah, he's been on absolute fire since I met him this spring. OMG, lots of big rally names, and he's talking about them before they rally. So if he says it's looking good, I'm inclined to believe him. Let's end on a high note today. What's a good high note? Well, ETH BTC could put in a high note today as it makes a higher low. I think this has got to hold for me personally, as far as like I want to stay bull on altcoins. We are at sort of that breakout recheck. We tapped it and bounced. I was kind of hopeful. Not, you know, I didn't think it would really last, but if it did, that'd be really bullish. We don't need to worry about all that. We can come right into this key support area. I mean, look, we took 56 days to move out of this last one. Quick retest and big go. Do we come in here, consolidate for a bit? Bitcoin's going ham, who knows? But I need this level to hold. In fact, I'm going to put 24. I'm going to use an alert. And let's go down to 27,499. Why not? So check for support. I'll just look and I'll have that alert pop up on my phone. Yeah, we've got to, you know, it doesn't mean if that alert fires, we're done. It's just I want to start, you know, I want to make sure I come back and check. I want to see some divergence. I want to see some signs that bulls are coming in here, that they're not just going to abandon ship and take us right back down to like the April highs. Which, again, you know, just another bullish retest could be that one. But I'd really like to see this hold. And that gives us ETH dominance as well. Would almost match with that Ethereum dominance. So this really should hold. I mean, if you want to see this big, this is a really nice looking chart too. It's almost the same as ETH BTC, but getting on that retest, a little cleaner look, around 10.5% dominance, and then let's get the hell out of here. Moon it. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap today. It is 5:30. It's a nice, good stretch. Love having you guys here today, so appreciate it. If you appreciate the content, you like what we're doing here, hit us up with a like, sub, and comment. Maybe some of the things you liked a lot, some of the things you'd like to see more of. And if you haven't already, join us in the trading pit. There's a lot of big names in that trading pit. If you search through who's in that, it's pretty incredible. Not saying they're all active every day, but I'm actually blown away every day I see like another influencer just be like, oh, hey. I'm just like, what? You're here too? So it's a pretty sweet place. It's completely free. A lot of guys just hanging out, good banter, lots of gems keep coming along in there. You know, caveat emptor. There's a lot of shit coins being thrown around in there that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, but that's just me. But there's been some pretty sweet, generally speaking, it's a good, smart crowd, and they're putting their heads together, and we're making money. So come on down to the trading pit. Always play from a position of strength, and until next time, have a wonderful day.